The Vasyl Lomachenko-Masayoshi Nakatani bout was being talked up as a barometer fight for Loma. Pundits were curious to see how he would look after his first loss, and since Nakatani had given Teofimo Lopez such a tough battle, Loma's own performance against him would be a good metric to see how Loma stacked up. Well, Loma did look better against Nakatani than Lopez did, but we can chalk it up as a case of styles make fights. Nakatani was made to order for Loma. In this bout, he offered little more than a long reach, a pesky jab, and a right hand that he tried to time Loma with, but for the most part, he failed to do so. He simply didn't have the IQ to deal with someone like Lomachenko. Now, Lomachenko looked like the old Loma in this fight. He was going in and out and slamming Nakatani with a hard left cross with increasing regularity as the fight progressed, until he finally broke down the game Japanese fighter in the ninth round. Again, we didn't see any new wrinkles in the game from Lomachenko, nor should we have expected to. It's just a wait and see if the rematch with Lopez takes place. And the only thing Lomachenko needs to change really is to start faster. He started fast against Nakatani, and maybe this is a precursor for his future strategy against Teofimo Lopez. But the reason he didn't start fast in their first fight was that he was afraid of Lopez's power. Would that change in a rematch? It would have to, because Loma, if it doesn't, Loma will once again be on the losing end of the scorecards. Now on to the far more interesting bout of the weekend, which was the Gervonta Davis-Mario Barrios slugfest. This was a fight that I didn't know what to make of at first. So I didn't bother making a prediction video or anything. Gervonta Davis was a relatively small junior lightweight who's now going all the way up to the junior welterweight division. So the question for Davis was if he could carry that power up to the 140-pound weight class. Now, as far as Barrios goes, handicapping him before this fight would be the same thing as trying to handicap a maiden claimer horse race. Barrios has fought virtually no one of note, and it was really hard to gauge how good he really is. He's never been tested. So the odds makers made Davis an overwhelming favorite at minus 450, which on the flip side I thought was a head scratcher also because of the weight jump and the fact that Barrios, despite the fact that he's never fought anybody, he obviously had some talent. The fight itself had a lot of ebbs and flows and interesting threads. Barrios reminds me of a lightweight from the 1990s named Miguel Angel Gonzalez, whom some of you may remember for taking on Oscar De La Hoya and Julio Cesar Chavez. Remember, Gonzalez was tall, strong, and technical. He had an educated jab and a strong right as his primary weapons of choice, and he could beat most of these second-tier guys, but he didn't quite have that something extra to break into the elite pound-for-pound top 10. And I suspect that it will be the same with Barrios. He had the fight under control in the early going until the 8th round when he was clipped by a right hook. Davis tried frantically to make his pre-fight prediction of an 8th round knockout come true. Barrios barely survived the round, and after the round ended, he got some interesting advice from his trainer Virgil Hunter, who told him that Davis had burned up a lot of energy in the round, and he asked Barrios, "Do you have what it takes to get him?" And then in the opening minute of the 9th round, Barrios tagged Davis with a left hook, which I thought hurt Tank. But Barrios he couldn't press his advantage. And that's ultimately the difference between a serviceable contender or a title claimant and a elite world champion. Now, Davis recovered and closed his show like a star. He has an innate sense of how to break down and break through his opponent's defenses with very little instruction from his corner. His power to both the body and the head, his hooks are just savage. So I thought this was a remarkable win for Davis because of the weight jump and the toughness of Barrios. In the post-fight interview, I thought it was pretty silly for Jim Gray to ask Davis what would be his next fight for him and throw out the name of Ryan Garcia. Garcia is nowhere near in Davis's class at the moment. If there is one weakness in Davis's game, and it's something that may haunt him in the future. It is his trainer. I didn't hear any specific instruction by his trainer on how to get past Barrios' jab in the early going. His trainer seemed to have a cavalier attitude, throughout the proceedings, and was even shown calling over Floyd Mayweather to the corner to provide encouragement on more than one occasion. Mayweather told Davis he was behind. And he said that he had to keep it 100, and he implored Davis to show him that he was great. And to Tank's credit, he rose to the occasion. But that is something I've never seen before, where a fighter is given instruction and encouragement from someone outside the chief second to inspire him. Ultimately, Davis's power and class bailed him out of a fight that was a lot closer than the judges' scorecard would indicate, especially prior to the 8th round. So at some point, the fact that Davis doesn't have a coach to provide him with technical solutions, it will hurt him at some juncture in his career. And he's going to need all hands on deck if he tangles with the likes of a Josh Taylor or a Teofimo Lopez. But for now, Gervonta Davis is a superstar in the making, and this was an impressive win.